Hi, it's Neil. My scientist is Galileo Galilei. Galileo was a famous physicist from Pisa, Italy. He was born February 15th, 1564, and he lived to the old age of 77 because back then not many people lived that long. He lived in Italy and studied there for a majority of his life. Um, he was famous for many different concepts and theories, mainly in astronomy, math, and physics. Some of the background information. His father was a famous musician in Italy, and his mother was just a common lady who took care of the house and everything. He was the first of six children, and his family was not very wealthy, and he moved to Florence in 1574, and then in 1579 he attended the University of Pisa to study arts, although his father wanted him to study medicine. He later came up with multiple theories and became the father of science, and then had three children. One thing he studied was pendulums, and during his studies in Pisa, he noticed in the main cathedral that there was a lamp suspended, and he noticed that it swung back and forth a lot, and these little details later led him to believe that the time it takes for a pendulum to swing back and forth does not depend on the arc. It also brings in um, lots of other variables. Um, with the pendulum's idea, he ended up making an idea of a pendulum clock, and so he did this from the cathedral in Pisa. This idea gave the time intervals with different arcs and different pendulums, which would be the seconds and then would turn into minutes and then hours. And his son also took on this theory, and he tried to make the actual clock, which was never made because the swings necessary were too long, and also it ended up being that it was not 100% accurate with the seconds. The next thing, he also did a lot about motion, and he learned about physics of Aristotle and Pisa. However, Galileo knew that it was not 100% correct, and he questioned it, and he was one of the few to question it, and he didn't agree that heavier objects moved faster and fell quicker than others. And then later he did the experiment from the Leaning Tower of Pisa called the falling bodies, where he dropped two different objects, and they're the same material and same shape and everything, and he dropped them. They're just different weights, and the outcome was that both of them hit the ground at the same exact time, and they're dropped at the same exact height. Another thing he did was kinematics. He was the father of kinematics, and he kind of took on all these different ideas about it, and he started all the different equations that we have today. He talked much about it, about acceleration and force of objects, and that came into play in his experiment of falling bodies when he proved Aristotle wrong. And the kinematics helped him prove Aristotle wrong. He also focused on friction and inertia, and originally people thought, again from Aristotle, that things just naturally slow down unless something's acted upon it, but Galileo proved this wrong, and he proved that there are other forces like friction and then inertia, that a body moving on a level surface will continue in the same direction at constant speed unless it's disturbed, and these still hold true today. And Stephen Hawking said that he's responsible for most modern science. Albert Einstein also called him the father of science, and Galileo is in the song Bohemian Rhapsody. Today, there are many space programs, and there's an asteroid named after him, and he also made other achievements like the telescope and the thermometer, which are all things that we use today, so he's a pretty big deal in our time, and pretty much it just comes to be that Galileo is one of the biggest fathers of modern science.